The Close Weekly podcast gives you the most actionable real estate advice you can use today. And in Season 2, we're focusing on how you can succeed in 2022's low inventory market. Now, here's your host, the man who has been a top producing agent for over 25 years, Sean Modry.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's guest is Jennifer Egbert, and she's going to share with us how she broke into the luxury real estate market in just a few short years. But before we get to her, I want to share with you about this season's sponsor, Elevate by Elm Street Technology. Elevate is more than just a CRM. With social media posts, IDX website, and easy-to-use lead generation, Elevate provides everything you need to capture and convert more leads. Elevate even offers a time-saving CMA wizard, which lets you create and share CMAs in just a few minutes. Interested in trying Elevate yourself? Then check it out at tryelevate.com. That's TRYELEVATE.com and schedule your free demo today. Now, let's hear from Jennifer and hear how you too can break into your luxury real estate market. Good morning, Close Weekly. It's Sean Modry, and we're back again for another podcast. And as usual, we're bringing you actionable items that you can take to your business today so you can be more successful in this crazy, crazy industry we call real estate. And today, we have a wonderful guest. I have known this agent for probably close to 10 years now. Right? Probably about 10 years. And she broke into one of the most exclusive real estate markets in the nation. And, you know, I've taught real estate all over this country, and people say, oh, well, my market's different. This market's different. I promise you, this market's different. It's Boulder, Colorado. One of the locations of probably some of the most successful real estate agents in the nation, all practicing within 5 square miles of each other, fighting over real estate. And I want to introduce you to Jennifer Egbert from Boulder, Colorado. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Sean.
Hey. So today we want to talk about really something that's challenging that a lot of real estate agents are facing, right? We're seeing record low inventory really throughout the United States, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not in Boulder right now. What's the inventory like in Boulder right now?
We're at like a negative 77% for inventory.
Negative. So year over year is down 77%.
Yes.
Holy moly. Holy moly. Jennifer, how did you break into the highly competitive Boulder luxury real estate market?
So I feel like this is kind of around the time that I met you, maybe. I took a course. So I often look for courses that are outside of real estate. And the reason why is because I want to get a different perspective. I think we get tunnel vision in real estate. And I also am really good at like watching or spotting trends. So when I see a whole bunch of people just going in one direction, I don't want to go that direction because I know then you're going to have all this bloody water over here, right? And so I want to go like blue water strategy. I always tend to go like, oh, okay, everybody's going over there. I'm going to go over here. Blue water strategy is you want to be swimming in blue water. If you're swimming over where there's a bunch of murder going on, there's a lot of bloody water, right? So more sharks over here. But if you're out in the blue water, it gives you an opportunity to like sit back, survey what's going on around you, rather than clamoring with the masses. I think if you just look at human nature, people tend to follow the herd. That's not my nature innately. I see that and it really repels me. So I tend to look over here and go, oh, okay, you know what? What am I interested in? I'm interested in design. I'm interested in fashion. I'm interested in art. That's those are my people. And so if you compare real estate and anything in the creative field, they're vastly different, right? But when I look at that type of marketing, I don't care. Like, you know, when I made a switch to things, websites were ugly. They were all PC. They were maroon and black and white and gray. And you know what I mean? Like it was just boring and really like not evolving. Right. And so I took this marketing course by a woman named Marie Forleo. And there were two things out of her course that changed my entire career. And those two things were creating my ideal customer avatar, which now I have a whole workbook, and it's something that I look at. I created this person that I started out with the example of my favorite client, like somebody who like I probably became friends with, and it was super fun during the deal. Everybody made a bunch of money. Like it was great. Right. And I went further into that workbook with, you find out their pain points, you find out their fears, you find out the things that bring them joy. But I think that for the most part, and probably a decade ago, I think it's getting better as far as like real estate continuing education is concerned, because information is more readily available.
Sure.
But there was, and I get cerebral, so I apologize.
No, I love it.
Okay.
I nerd out on this stuff.
I nerd out too, but then people are like, God, you're really like cerebral. I'm like, okay, all right. But what that book did, or what that exercise did, was to give me a real solid foundation that I could hand to my director of operations, hand to a marketing director, hand to a branding developer, everybody, and be like, here's my person, right?
Yeah.
Here's who I am marketing to. And it just so happened it was somebody, potentially creative, multimillionaire, tech, probably a younger parent, because I was a younger parent at the time, or a newer parent at the time. I wasn't a younger parent, I was a newer parent. So
really specific, like you're getting into the type of job, the type of career, what their
hopes
interests
and fears,
are.
Recreation, like it goes, it took like 3 weeks to formulate this person, right? And then because of that, they started showing up everywhere, which was wild. The other thing that I did was take a test developed by Sally Hogshead called How to Fascinate. So if you've never heard of it, and you've heard me on panels before talk about this exact same thing that we're talking about now. But what I loved about this exercise was that the test it shows you actually how people see you, not how you want to be perceived, not this thing that formulates, like an Enneagram or your DISC test or anything like that, where you have to formulate. It breaks it down for you to see how people see you. So in a room of 300 people, Sally was up on stage and she said, well, okay, who in here got trendsetter? And of 300 people, 9 of us raised our hand. And she's like, that's about right. Like that's about the percentage of you folks. So then she looked at me and she goes, so what do people say about you out in the world? I'm like, oh, that's easy. Like I'm a weirdo. And she's like, well, why do they say that? And I said, because I'll be sitting at any table having a conversation like I'm doing now, and people will be looking at me like this. Like that's the look I get all the time. A very like, what look? And she goes, so here's the thing. What we know about trendsetters is you are running at about 3 to 5 years ahead of everybody. So you'll notice when they catch up. And I do. I notice when my marketing starts to look mundane. And then so I pivot, right? But then I had a high level of prestige, a high level of rebellion, and a low level of alarm.
Now, hold on. This is what other people saw in you, or what?
Yeah. This is how I am out in the world, right? Yeah. How they see me. And so like, I don't freak out, which is really great for negotiations. Some people, might think I'm a little snobby. People who know me know that I'm not, right? Like all of these things, right? And so I took that and what she said in that, she goes, because you're the trendsetter, what you've got to start doing is trusting your gut. So all those ideas that you have, even though everybody else thinks they're weird, it's not that they think that you're weird. They just don't know what the heck you're talking about. And so go with your gut, just do it. And that was a huge game changer for me, like huge. I mean, I took that ideal customer avatar. I went over to Anthem Branding. I had them create this beautiful marketing piece, that I would send out to all my clients. And it really changed everything because I knew in that moment that I was niching to modern luxury real estate. And Boulder, And 15 years ago, 12 years ago, we did not have modern.
Yeah, it wasn't there yet. Yeah, it wasn't there. It's interesting you bring that up, because I think about that, because I've, flipped a lot of homes in my career, and I look at the construction today and the way people are, remodeling homes today and the look. And I think to myself, I'm like, I wish I had that kind of vision. Like, I don't see that kind of, this is the future of what design looks like. And then it shows up and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And so I have to copy.
I have to tell you, I really need to come up with a consultation fee, because more developers and builders come to me and consult with, want my opinion. I walk through so much stuff for free.
Oh yeah.
It's not an invitation, but it's like, but people really trust my design eye.
Yeah.
Right. And because they've seen what I've created and they know that I'm seeing something that they may be missing.
Now, what I hear you saying is that early in your career, so I'm assuming this is in the first few years of your career, you said, I'm going to come at this like a business, right? I'm building a business
from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Starting from the ground up, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to take my career seriously. I'm going to put the advantage in my hands by giving myself the expertise, differentiating myself, identifying a niche. And so that cost money, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though, before real estate was like master of nothing, right? Jack of all trades, master of nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that this was my shot at creating something for myself that nobody could tell me to do otherwise, because you get thrown into the fire pan, right? Yeah. And so, or the frying pan. And so, I just said, both my parents are entrepreneurs. And so I went to my dad, who was alive at the time, and I was like, I need to set up a business. And so I set up my LLC. I had an S-corp designation, got a CPA, built a website when people were resisting building websites. They did not want email. They did not want websites in 2003. Yeah. So from the beginning of it all, I set it up to run as a business. I was creating my career because I didn't know what else to do at 28. And so I think I'm still a little shocked when I see agents who are my contemporaries who haven't done that. It blows me away. So
haven't set up a website?
Haven't set up a business, like a whole business. Yeah. It's like, where are you putting your checks? How are you paying your taxes?
Well, I heard a quote from a coach one time that said 90% of real estate agents are doing this until something else comes along. Yeah. And when I heard that, what's that?
Let them.
Yeah. But when I heard that, I thought, you know what? That person is absolutely true. It's like they say, well, I'm going to do this until, my career comes back, or I'm going to do this until I move to another city, or I'm going to do this until my spouse needs me to, assist them or whatever. And it's like this part-time, get rich quick idea.
Totally.
And no wonder the average agent, does 2.5 transactions a year right now. 2.5, and it's down from 5.
That like you could be a puppy and do that. No offense to anybody out there who's struggling, but like it is a thing that like when your systems are in place, you'll kick butt. Like it's not a fast track career plan either. I mean, some people will get lucky, but man, when your systems are in place, like I make great money.
Yeah.
And I love my job. And it has introduced me to some of the most incredible people I never would have met otherwise. Right. So yeah, I don't do the short-sighted thing. I'm very much a long game kind of person.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I don't do the short-sighted. So you had a long view from the moment you walked into the business. And so I'm a visual person. So here's how, when I set a goal, I concentrate on what it looks like in a picture when I achieve that goal.
Yes.
Did you have like an idea or a goal that you set out to achieve?
Oh yeah. So I from, again, like I had asked my mom and dad, like, how do you guys run your businesses? Right. The two totally different businesses, a law firm and a nonprofit consulting firm. So completely different. And, you know, my dad was the big picture guy, right? Like and I'm that way, like money's everywhere, right? So you have to harness it. And you have to also know where it's coming from and know where it's going. Right. And if you don't, you're just flying by the seat of your pants. So you can't win in that space. Right. So I did I have done business plans every single year of my career. I do business tracking. I love my business tracker. Like I love to see my numbers, right? Because if I can look at like what's in my hot list, you know, or what's on my warm list, and I can see what's closing, I break it down by month. So I do it by volume rather than by transaction, because I run a high volume business, low transaction number. And, you know, but it's so fun for me to be like, oh, from the hot list, into the under contract list, like over to the closed list, you know,
moving them over. Yeah.
Yep. And I love that. My
like a board game.
That about me. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Do you use a whiteboard? Do you have a whiteboard? I
have the whiteboard. I have a spreadsheet. My director of operations does like my P&Ls every month. Like I know every single cent. It's great.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So tell me more about, let's get into kind of how did you start attracting clients and what was it about you that your clients saw and see today? Because it is changing. The market, you know, the demands of the consumers changing so rapidly in all markets, including luxury markets, including, you know, very competitive markets. So let's talk a little bit about why does a customer pick you?
Yeah. So it's so funny because now I could see like 3 chunks of that time, right? So when I first created, that ideal customer avatar that I created, and that knowing that I'm the trendsetter, so then creating the branding out of that, right? So modern luxury, then I started marketing to modern luxury and I started speaking about modern luxury. I was super proficient in design. So for me, that was like very easy to talk about what I loved, you know, architecture that I saw, listings that I saw. So if you look on my website on jenniferegbert.com, you see the blog. That blog has been going since this whole inception. So the SEO on that blog is beyond. And we talk about on almost a daily basis, the Boulder listing of the day. So when I didn't have those listings, I would blog about a listing that I liked that was in alignment with my branding and give credit to the listing agent, like follow, you know, NAR guidelines. But I would blog about this listing that I loved because people are visual, right? It's not that they would, like, I don't want to mean to deceive anybody, which is why I always credit the listing agent, but people, I control the narrative. So I talked about a listing that I loved. I talked about the architecture of it or the design of it or whatever it was. Whether people read further down the line or not and saw that I was not the listing agent, it wasn't the matter or wasn't the issue. They associated me with that design, right? And so what happened was people started to find me because they were looking for similar things. And that is another part, like another part of that ideal customer avatar thing is, what does your client Google?
Right.
Like, what do they search for online?
So they're searching modern homes in Boulder, Colorado, right? Yeah. And because you are talking about it, showing them, identifying yourself as that. It's interesting because I had a coaching call this week with a gentleman in Portland, Oregon. And, you know, he's a brand new real estate agent. He's been licensed for 2 years, but he's in his early 20s. And, you know, he has the whole, you know, oh, I'm too young. Well, I got in this business at 21. I'm like, you're not too young. I told him the same thing. I said, you have to identify a niche. I said, people aren't going to hire you, right? They're not looking for you online. They're looking for something else. And you need to show up as that niche. And so I started asking him questions about like, what's your background? What have you done? What are you familiar with? And his parents own boat yards in Portland. Or I'm sorry, Vancouver. So right on, you know, right on the border there, right where the river is. And so, so he's in Vancouver. And I said, well, and I hopped on Zillow really quick and I started looking and I said, well, tell me about these boathouses, right? And he starts telling me all about the boathouses. So we had like a 15-minute conversation. This kid knew a ton about boathouses. And I said, well, how many real estate agents specialize in boathouses? And he says, none. He says, there's not a lot of money in it. And I said, that's exactly why you should get into it.
Dude,
right? Because
I'm a millionaire.
I'm in Colorado and I see boathouse and I'm like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Like I totally want to check out a boathouse. Now, am I going to buy one? Maybe not. Maybe I buy a condo. Right. But I want to see the boathouse.
Right. And he could find other agents. So one of my past executive assistants actually is a boat broker up in Homer, Alaska. No. And I get so proud. I got to tell you, like, she is doing all the things that we did. Like when she worked for me, she's taking all my systems and I'm so proud of her because it's like amazing to see like these young women rocking it. I mean, it was, like they took over their parents' boat brokerage.
Yeah.
But they are blowing it up.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like all you have to do is have like system marketing in place, right? That speaks to your people and it will change everything. And because we can't be everything to everyone, like that's exhausting.
It's not, and it's not even possible. Nor do you want to be, right?
No,
you don't
people love me or they hate me.
Yeah.
It's very black and white for me.
But I think that's a problem is real estate agents are so fearful of some of them are fearful of rejection, and some of them are so hungry that they will just accept anything.
Today. Yep. Right? I literally had this conversation 3 hours ago with an agent in my office. It's the perfect example of wanting a luxury listing and the seller has really unreasonable expectations of what the pricing should be. And I'm listening to the thing and I'm hearing the anxiety and I'm like, there's no, like, even though we're in this aggressive market, we still have price sensitive buyers. And what I hear out of this whole discussion is that you haven't been Socratic enough, right, to find the pain points, but also like they're not realistic. And, so what's going to be worse? You having a listing that sits there and getting the hate emails once a week or more?
The what are you doing emails?
I mean, I already saw the list that the clients, and I was like, oh my God, you're going to get like it will tear you apart. And I was like, so what what you need to do is write back to them and say, why don't you come into the office? Let me show you instead of tell you, let me show you how we determine pricing, and that might be a great eye opener, but I sit and my coach taught me this, my business coach, my real estate coach taught me this, I sit in every listing consultation and I'm like, look, 3 things are going to happen here. Like, it's going to be great. You're going to love me. You're going to want to hire me and we're going to move forward. And the other thing is that you might have a lot of questions about me that you don't think I'm a good fit for you or whatever it is, and that's okay as well, and the third thing is I may not be able to help you. And that's really my hammer drop. Right. And I have fired sellers, lovely people, but it just like there are certain rules in my ideal customer avatar workbook where part of it is I say, as part of my ideal customer is that they do what I say, because when they do, they benefit big time. And I can map my clients who are, who do what I say and get multiple offers, hundreds of thousands over asking, to the ones who refuse to do what I say, that I end up canceling the listing agreement.
I got to tell you, I know that there's people listening that are going to hear you say that, and that is going to freak them out, right? Because so many agents, they look at themselves as they're just taking the order, right? My client wants me to list the house for $1,155,000, right? Some random
number. It's a $900,000 home.
Yeah. And they want me to do this marketing and they want me to do this and they want me to do this. And I'm so excited to get this listing that I'll just say yes right now. And maybe I'll try to correct it later or whatever, but I'm going to just say yes right now because they're so fearful of telling the client no. Right.
Yeah. But
And instead
no
you're
is like the
saying,
best thing ever.
you what?
No is the best thing ever to say.
Let that soak in for a minute.
Just say no.
Just say no.
I'm gonna.
Well, you
we
can
press
say
pause
no.
real quick so I can go back into my office because my kid's coming home.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. We're on this.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
Hi. Oh, because I'm doing a like being interviewed, so I'm just gonna go back into the office. We'll have a little scene change.
I'm totally leaving this in the podcast, by the way.
Perfect.
Oh, you're real. You're a real person.
I'm a real
Did you
person.
hear my dog barking and playing with?
Yeah, my dog barking, my
ago?
kid coming in with the boba. I don't mind.
No. Okay.
All right.
So let's jump back on. We're talking about. We were just finishing up about no being the most powerful word.
Yeah.
And you can say that, right? Somebody can say that if they're confident in generating business, right? If they're confident their plans move forward. And one of the things you said earlier that I think is a really important point that I think a lot of business people in general overlook is you said money is abundant, right? And I say money's like a butterfly. You can't chase it. It'll just fly away. And the more you chase it, the more faster and higher it will fly, right? Because it's going to try to get away from you. You have to attract the butterfly, right? And what I hear you saying about your business is you have to attract the customer too.
100%. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and you can look at all of my marketing, right? And all of our, from my Instagram to my website to the Mile High Modern website to, like anything that we send you, it is all in alignment, right? Like it's actually why I chose Mile High Modern ultimately is because I had already created all this marketing in Boulder and it was completely in alignment. Like it didn't make sense for me not to be at that brokerage. Even though they didn't have one in Boulder yet, I called them and I was like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, that sounds like a great, something we'd want to do someday. And I'm like, we're doing that, just FYI. And
we're
like,
doing that now because the brokerage opened up in Boulder partly because of your desire to bring them there.
I mean, I pushed them way out of their comfort zone a lot earlier than they wanted to, but it's remarkable. And I mean, we could go off on that forever, right? But like when you find a company that is in alignment with who you are as a human, especially in this industry, right? Like I love it.
Well, and I think it's important to note to the listeners that the brokerage you're speaking of that attracted you through their marketing and their efforts and their messaging is a small boutique brokerage that is now competing that started in Denver. What, it's maybe 6 years old, maybe?
No. 4 years old.
4 years old.
Yeah.
Started in Denver, winning
like
awards.
One or number 2 luxury brokerage now, right?
Yeah. I don't know, but it's winning awards.
The number 2 luxury brokerage in Denver.
And now is expanding into Boulder through its marketing and branding message, right? Yeah. And so let's take a minute and let's just dial back a second and let's talk about the current market situation, right? Yeah. Massive low inventory. I think I heard in all of Boulder, the city of Boulder, which is about 110,000, there's like 50 listings total?
Oh, no, Sean. 34?
34 listings.
Let me tell you, on Friday it was 34. I'll tell you right now. Hold, please. Let's see. In all of Boulder, residential and attached, active and coming soon. And I'm going to say city of Boulder or county?
Well, let's do the city because I think it's a very interesting statistic.
It's crazy town. Hang on.
It's in 34?
Oh, we're up to 65.
65.
But of those, 4 of them are permanently affordable. So 61 listings, both attached and detached. And if we do just detached, just a single family residence, 32. 32 listings.
And I think it's important to note for those of you that may not remember, but just about 2 months ago, Boulder County had one of the largest fires in Colorado's history, and it destroyed about 1,200 homes just south of Boulder, just north of me. In fact, the window I'm looking at, I can see the path of the fire out the window I was at. I was working that day and I'm watching the smoke go by my house. And I was thinking, I should probably check and see what that is. Yeah. But now we have 1,100 people who are displaced, who are also trying to move into the market. So this is just compounding the massive lack of inventory. Yeah. So right now, Jennifer, if you're an agent and you're in a luxury market or you're wanting to break into the luxury market, and maybe you don't have all your marketing up to date, what are some ideas that they could do today? Maybe not to get a listing today, but maybe to start breaking into that luxury market and building their brand. Maybe 3 steps that they should take that they could start today.
The things that you can do today are create your ideal customer avatar. Number 1, actually know who you're speaking about and who you're marketing to. That's number 1. I'll preach it until I stop selling real estate, and then I'll teach it probably. And then number 2, you've got to market to those people. So I highly recommend people understanding that 60% of your audience are visual people. So that being said, get into Instagram. Just start if you haven't. Just start. Get into TikTok. Just start if you haven't. Really, I mean, Christ, if you're under, sorry to everybody. If you're under, well, I'm 49 and I love TikTok. So I would say, and I'm an introvert, I don't love to be in front of the camera, but I really am enjoying TikTok. It is wild. And it is the number 1 or 2 growing platform in the world. And
it's wildly addictive for sure.
Well, think about like the stuff, like the news the information that you get, and you have to learn how to discern. But from a real estate standpoint, to get on, like there's a young woman, she is still teaching. She's in Tucson, Arizona. Her name's Carly. And I am following her on TikTok. She is new, but she is putting out just some really great content. Steph Kroll out of our Denver office, who has a mid-century modern niche. She's kind of amazing if people are want something more antiquated. My TikTok.
Antiquated. Wait till she hears you say that about her.
Yeah. She's so niche and she's so smart and she's so good at social media. Like her Instagram, I think she's got tens of thousands of followers. I have 6,200, but the thing of it is like, she has the masses who like mid-century. It really works. And I have so many agents who follow me, but I will tell you that I do 6 figures a year in referral deals, because that's part of my marketing. That's part of my
agents are seeing you, following your marketing, and then
they send us referrals. Yeah. I send them referrals. I love my referral agents. So I have a really a small, effective group of followers, which is really cool. And so get into Instagram or TikTok. And I mean, if you saw my TikTok, and I'm not going to share it.
I'm totally going to look. I'm going to look. We're all going to look.
The hashtag Mile High Modern Boulder for TikTok. I mean, it's me. It's what you're getting now. I am not very good at being on cue. I wouldn't call myself laid back, but I am very direct. I am very much the person who I am. I wish I was a better faker, but I think it also makes my life a lot more simple that I'm not, because I can't be everything to everybody.
I think people see right through the fakeness.
But I love that. I love that everybody has a different way. And what I love about short form video is that your people are going to find you so much more efficiently.
Yeah.
And it makes the job fun when you start to create that space that people know that you are approachable, right? And they will reach out like without hesitation. So that is that number 2 thing.
Well, and let me just add to that, when they're coming to you and reaching out to you versus prospecting, right? And I've got a career in prospecting, the big difference is they tend not to interview 3, 4, 5 agents. They interview you.
I got my biggest deal last year that way. $7 million. And he had done his research. He knew who I was. That was what I was going to say. Do not blow off doing an ideal customer avatar. Anybody can DM me on Instagram. I will email you the workbook. It is, you can look on any podcast that I've been interviewed on. I talk about it because it changed everything.
You're going to get a lot of DMs now.
DM me on Instagram. It's at Jennifer Preddy Egbert, PreddyEgbert. The other Jennifer Egbert is my private one, so you don't want to go there.
Not that one. We're going to cut it off there. We appreciate you so much. And you guys take some tips today, take some notes, and put this into action. Reach out to Jennifer. Thanks again, Jennifer.
It's so good to see you.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.